Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is absolutely fundamental to our daily lives, yet, honestly, it's something we rarely stop to appreciate. We're going to explore the invisible infrastructure of skills, dedication, and labor that literally keeps our entire world spinning. We'll break down the true meaning of work, dive into the dignity of labor, and look at the specific traits that make our society thrive.
Actually, take a second and think back. What did you want to be when you grew up? When we ask kids this question, we usually hear answers like, an astronaut, a doctor, a pilot, or maybe a famous engineer. It's fascinating, right? Because we naturally covet roles that carry a high level of social recognition. But you rarely, if ever, hear a child say they want to be a city cleaner, a plumber, or a factory worker. Yet it's exactly this physical labor that physically sustains our society. Without it, everything just grinds to a halt. Okay, let's dive into this. We've got a great roadmap for today. First, welcome to the workforce. Second, classifying how we work. Third, the dignity of labor. Fourth, building skills through training. And finally, traits of a great worker.
All right, starting right off with Section 1, welcome to the workforce.
So think about that contrast we just touched on. On one hand, you have a pilot in a cockpit, a role that universally commands prestige. On the flip side, you have city cleaners working out there to maintain our streets. Society tends to celebrate the pilot, but the vital everyday service of the street cleaner is what actually keeps our immediate environment livable. Every single occupation is equally important to society, regardless of the income you earn or the uniform you wear.
So, what exactly is work? Well, back in 1999, a researcher named Ulrich Teichler defined the world of work simply as the relationship among the real activities a person performs daily relevant to their profession. It's not just about sitting at a desk or collecting a paycheck. It encompasses absolutely every sector that supplies the services and the physical labor necessary for our continued existence. Moving right along to Section 2, classifying how we work.
It's honestly fascinating because jobs aren't just random, right? They're deeply tied to regional resources. Let's look at Sri Lanka as a perfect example here. Up in the cooler climates of Nuwara Eliya, the workforce is heavily dedicated to vegetable and flower cultivation. But move down to the coastal areas of Gale and Matara, and the fishing industry totally dominates. You even see these hyper-specific traditional industries, like paddy cultivation in Anuradhapura, rattan weaving in Weldenia, the cashew trade in Kajugama, or the famous gem industry in Ratnapura. The environment literally dictates the labor.
Now, beyond just geography, we can also classify work by the kind of energy it demands. We've got mental labor, professions like doctors, engineers, teachers, and administrators. These folks primarily use brain work to solve problems and organize society. Then we have physical labor, the farmers, carpenters, masons, and laborers who use immense physical energy to literally build and sustain our material world. And here's the thing, both categories are absolutely indispensable. You simply cannot have a functioning hospital designed by engineers without the masons and carpenters who physically built it from the ground up.
Which brings us to Section 3, and this is a big one, the dignity of labor.
Let me pose a pretty stark question to you. Could we actually live if city cleaners just stopped working properly for a single day? Think about the immediate consequences of that. Disease would spread rapidly, and our infrastructure would just choke. This forcefully illustrates that physical labor isn't just a job, it is the active maintenance of our civilization. The value of their service is literally at the highest possible level.
And that brings us right to the core of the dignity of labor. What this really means is performing your duty with willingness, happiness, and a genuine sense of self-pride. It's about redefining our view of work to recognize that true dignity doesn't come from some fancy job title. It comes from dedication, efficiency, and knowing for sure that you are actively contributing to the upliftment of your community.
When labor is dignified, it creates this massive ripple effect across the entire economic ecosystem. It's like a giant puzzle where everyone benefits. For the employer, a proud workforce means increasing profits and raising the organization's reputation. For the customer, it means fulfilling their requirements easily and building up trust and credibility. And most importantly, for the employees themselves, working with dignity brings immense job satisfaction, a genuine desire to learn more, and deep devotion to their craft.
Okay, Section 4. Building skills through training. Now, while all honest labor has dignity, we know certain jobs require very specific competencies. And there are basically two main pathways to achieve that. First is pre-service training. This is the education you get before you ever step foot on the job site. Think of a technical college where you learn house wiring before officially becoming an electrician. The second is in-service training. This happens after you're hired, where you build experience while actively working. A great example here is a medical house officer. That's a graduate getting practical, hands-on training directly under a specialist.
To formalize all of this, we rely on structured frameworks, like the National Vocational Qualification, or NVQ. Take an NVQ Level 4 in photography, for example. Programs like this are incredible because they take raw enthusiasm and forge it into highly efficient, skilled labor. Employers prioritize this because formal training is exactly what bridges that gap between an amateur and a true professional.
And that leads us to our final part, Section 5, Traits of a Great Worker.
So what actually makes a great worker? Well, according to Craig D. Gerald, the modern workplace has some very specific expectations. If you want to thrive out there today, you absolutely need critical thinking and problem-solving skills. You have to be totally comfortable using information technology. You've got to be able to engage in group activities with real cooperation. And you must bring creativity and innovation to the table. Employers expect you to generate value. And these are the cognitive tools you use to do exactly that.
But look, beyond just those cognitive skills, there are these timeless, core behavioral qualities that literally every good worker needs. We're talking punctuality and showing up on time, unwavering dedication and honesty, orderliness and efficiency, a deep respect for leadership and institutional rules, and crucially, this is a big one, the ability to not link your private or political life with your job. Your attitude and your reliability are just as vital to your overall success as your technical training.
Wow, we've covered a tremendous amount of ground today, right from the geography of industries all the way down to the daily habits of a reliable employee. But before we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. Look at your own life and your own daily tasks. How does your specific labor contribute to the social progression of everyone around you? Because social progression isn't just achieved by one or two prestigious occupations. It is the combined, dignified effort of all of us that builds the world we live in.